Hey, you're listening to the wrong podcast. Topics today include the deed, the debate, and the dead.
Wrong!
It's the wrong podcast, but we'll make it right. Spinning the world in a whole new light. Winning wild and a little askew. And the one who's right, it might be you. It might be you.
Hi, I'm Tim. I'm here to talk about politics, culture, religion, sports, and anything else you're not allowed to talk about in polite company. Issue number 1! Crack-a-lackin'! I need to tell you about the Fox sisters. The Fox sisters, their names were Catherine and Margaretta. They lived in Rochester, New York. Or is it Rochester Sauce, New York? You'll hear more about that later someday, I'm sure. They lived in Rochester Sauce, New York in the 1840s, and this was known as the Burned Over District. This was practically the Old West at the time. Actually, the Old West was moving from there into Ohio. Lots of spiritual activity going on. The sisters, they're about 12 and 14, and they move into a house that's said to be haunted because someone was murdered or died there. And they have their older sister with them. Their older sister's like, 15 years older than them or something like that. And they tell their sister that the dead are communicating with them through raps in the house. The dead are knocking on the house and they can hear them and they know what the dead are saying. This freaks the sister out, freaks the parents out, freaks everybody out. The girls are separated. They're moved to other homes. And the spirits follow the girls. And the rappings are taking place wherever the girls go. And nobody can figure out where these noises are coming from, but they're not house specific. Spirits are following the girls around. They eventually move in with this couple who are Quakers, and out of the girls and this couple, the spiritualist movement is born. What you think of as palm readings and tarot card readings and people talking to the dead through crystal balls, that's really born in the United States in the 1840s because of the Fox sisters, because the spirits are talking to the girls. Their older sister, who they originally freaked out, she decides to manage the girls. She manages the girls' careers, and they start doing road shows. They go to theaters. They show people that the dead are talking to them. They do celebrity seances. And other people are like, I can do this too. Other people start doing seances. They start doing performances where the dead talk to them. And this goes on for 40 years. 44 years after this all began in that haunted house in Rochester Sauce, New York. Oh, by the way, the Burned Over District, I didn't mention, that's where Joseph Smith received the golden plates. There's all kinds of spiritual activity going on in that area. Sorry to interrupt. Back to the story. 44 years later, in the 1880s, Margaretta finally confesses that this has all been a hoax. It's all a hoax. She takes off her socks and shoes, and she shows that she and her sister Catherine have this amazing ability to crack their toes. They're just cracking their toes. Talk about a lame superpower. You know, the X-Men, they have all these different superpowers, and sometimes people have really, really lame ones. This is a really lame X-Men superpower. They crack their toes, but somehow they're able to turn it into this entire career for their entire adult lives. They crack their toes and tell people that ghosts are knocking on the theater stage or the house they're at or whatever. And immediately people think, okay, great, spiritualism is going to die It's obviously a hoax. The person who perpetrated this entire thing, this whole thing was generated around her. It's over now. Nope. Still going strong. 140 years later, still going strong. Margareta, she confessed, but that did not stop her from continuing. If you will not believe it, she said this was a hoax. This is how I did it. This is proof. She then decided she needed to keep earning money and went back to it. She recanted her confession and went on cracking her toes and talking to the dead. And people continued to pay money, but not to the extent that they had in the past. Issue number 2, less snarky. I don't know if you saw this. There was this interview between Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was interviewing Ted Cruz about Israeli involvement in Iraq. Tucker Carlson, he's become an isolationist, and he's quite a fan of Russia. He's apparently taking money from Qatar, or Qatar. Gutter, that's how you want to say that word. Yes, it sounds like gutter, and maybe that's appropriate because they fund and support terrorism. And Tucker Carlson is on the books getting money from Gutter. And I am not a fan of either of these individuals. I would consider myself a conservative Republican, but not like this. Not like these two guys. I don't want to use the word Republican if I'm anywhere associated with Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. Both of them, Tucker in particular, would be sick. The Tucker Carlson from 30 years ago, he would be sick. The Tucker Carlson from 20 years ago, from 15 years ago, would be sick. He'd be gross. He'd punch 2025 Carlson in the face if he could. That's my belief. Ted Cruz is just an opportunist. He's not principled. Republican senators generally hate him. The thing that drives me nuts about Ted Cruz is he was a debate champ, and he is an excellent rhetorician. He serves rhetorician sauce. And Ted, what he does that drives me crazy is somebody will pose a question to him. They'll counter his arguments with a fact, and he'll agree with the fact and say, yes, that proves my point. Just baldly confessing that he was wrong, but saying that it actually proves his point. I don't know how he sleeps at night, but he's able. And the other thing about Ted Cruz, he's totally against elites. He's like, oh, we hate the elites. The elites are terrible. The elites are awful. Ted Cruz went to an Ivy League school for both his undergrad and law school. He's a United States Senator. His wife is a vice president of a major investment bank. He's the elite. You can't get more elite than Ted Cruz. Oh, I'm in this position, but I'm speaking up for the everyday man. No, Ted, you're the elite. Okay, so they had this interview, and like I said, I do not like either of these guys. I'm going to take a swing at both of them here. First, here's Tucker questioning why Ted Cruz thinks that he has any right to say that Israel is doing the right thing to take out the Iranian nuclear program. Listen to the clip.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
It's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
Who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied, on behalf of Trump, that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Gotcha, Ted. Do you know the population of Iran? How about the population of Tehran? Do you know it? How can you be against this if you don't know those facts? This is such bad faith questioning, and I am thrilled. I am thrilled that somebody is going after Ted Cruz with bad faith questioning. Don't get me wrong. I hate them both. Maybe not hate, I dislike. This is so dumb, though. This is a gotcha question. People go after Republican presidential candidates all the time, the left-wing media, as they would say, the mainstream media. Oh, you think your foreign policy is the right one? Tell me, who's the prime minister of Swaziland? Somebody needs to know what the population of Iran is. It's 92 million, by the way. Somebody needs to know that. Somebody who's making war plans needs to know that. Somebody needs to be considering that. Somebody at the Secretary of State, the State Department, needs to know that. Do you know who doesn't need to know that? A senator from Texas. It's an interesting idea. It might sway his viewpoint, but not much. And the senator from Texas, he has 1% power in 1/6 of the entire United States government. 1% of 1/6. I could do that math right now. I'm not going to embarrass myself, though. Some of you know exactly what 1% of 1/6 is. I do not. And it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if I do or don't, because it's not important to the point. Somebody created a comic, and it was Tucker Carlson interviewing Luke Skywalker. And Tucker says, "Do you even know what the population of the Death Star is? Shouldn't you know that before destroying it?" No, he doesn't need to know the population of the Death Star. All he needs to know is that the Death Star has already destroyed the planet of Alderaan. And they were a peace-loving people, according to their princess. All Luke Skywalker needs to know is that the Death Star is moments away from destroying the entire Rebel alliance. That's all he needs to know. And what's important about Iran and Israel is Iran about to get a nuclear weapon? Are they going to get that? And are they going to use it against Israel? That's the important thing, not how many people live in Iran. It's going to matter at some point how many people live in Iran. If this is a crisis, if this is a potential nuclear weapon crisis, it doesn't matter. You get the point. Moving on. Tucker asked Ted why defending Israel is so important to him. And this is Ted's answer.
Okay. And the reason is twofold. Number one, as a Christian, growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
Hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
Hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister.
Right.
What?
But just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
that's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is. So I don't know.
I don't remember the scriptural citation. But, okay,
It's like Genesis 16 or something like that. But yes, it's in the earlier part of the book. But the point is...
All right, Tucker, you keep interrupting me before I finish my sentence.
It's just important to know what you're talking about. I don't know what So you're saying as a Christian, if I believe in Jesus, I have to support the modern state of Israel?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm explaining for me what my motivation is.
But okay, so I'm just trying to understand. You said God tells you to support the modern state of Israel in the Bible, in some place in the Bible that you heard about, but you don't know where it is. That's your theology?
You're going back, am I a sleazy feline again? I mean,
if you accuse me of anti-Semitism again, I will say that, but I don't think you will.
Ted, I believe you. I believe you that you learned in Sunday school that respecting Israel and defending Israel is the way to blessing. And boy, howdy, your Sunday school teacher did not do you a favor. I've heard this kind of thing too. I'm sure I've heard it in Sunday school class. People get very, very excited about the nation of Israel. Anytime there's a war anywhere in the Middle East, they think, oh, maybe these are the end times as told by the book of Revelation, because there's the nation of Israel getting embroiled in a war. And the passages about the blessings for Israel, they're actually about the descendants of Abraham. The blessing went to Abraham. It's part of the Abrahamic covenant. There was no nation of Israel. God just promised Abraham that he would have many descendants that would grow into a people. Those people today, they live all over the planet. All over the place. I think that there are more Jews, descendants of Abraham, living in New York than actually living in Israel. I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about that. Don't get after me, Tucker, because I don't know the population of Jews in Manhattan. Not important to the point. The point is that the blessings for Abraham are to the people. And in 1947, a government was formed, and it called itself Israel. I'm generally supportive of Israel. I think it makes very good sense for Americans to be generally supportive of Israel for lots of reasons that don't have to do with the Abrahamic covenant. Speaking of the Abrahamic covenant, if you are a Christian, you need to recognize that the Abrahamic covenant applies to you. You've been grafted in to the blessings that are due to the people of Abraham. They're not about the nation state of Israel. They're about you. If you're not a Christian, then when you read the Abrahamic covenant, then you need to recognize, okay, this is about these people, and you can be respectful and you can bless these people without focusing those blessings and that respect on the nation of Israel. You do not need to give carte blanche, approval to everything the nation of Israel does because of the Abrahamic covenant. God does not say that Israel, the nation, run by Benjamin Netanyahu, gets to do whatever it wants, and I bless it, and I bless all those who support him and support the nation. That's not at all what the Bible says. You should not believe that. If anything, reading the Old Testament, you should see that Israel, the theocratic nation mentioned in the Old Testament, and the people in general, the Jewish people in general, the Hebrew people in general, they did some messed up stuff. Some really, really messed up stuff. And God was not okay with it. And they were condemned for doing some very messed up stuff. So when the nation of Israel does something messed up, whatever it is, you don't have to support them just because the Bible says so. That's a terrible reason to say you must do this. You can honor the people of Israel. You can honor the Abrahamic covenant without agreeing to whatever the nation of Israel does. This is a bad answer. Stop giving this answer. People, please. And if you're a Christian and you're really excited about the end times, then pushing Israel to do this or that thing because Jesus will come back, no, that's a bad idea. That's not how this is going to work. I believe Jesus is coming back. I have a faithful belief that that's going to happen. We can't force that to happen by provoking wars in the Middle East involving Israel. And as far as I can tell from my reading of Revelation, Israel is not the good guy in that story. As far as I can tell, Israel is the whore that sides with Babylon. That's the reading I get from it. So if the current nation state of Israel is part of the end times, you can expect the Antichrist to be siding with Israel in whatever Israel does. And if you're a conservative Republican, maybe think through what's going on with Trump supporting Israel right now. If that's your framework, maybe things aren't turning out the way you think they are, and maybe you're supporting the wrong guy. Again, I don't think that this has anything to do with the book of Revelation. I don't think Trump is the Antichrist. But if you're excited about this being the end times and Israel being part of it, that might say some very poor things about Donald Trump. Okay, the last part of this interview, this is just the best part. You're probably going to hear this from now on in the podcast in some way.
Be a little less snarky.
I know, you're right. That is a problem that I have. I'm sorry.
Same, Tucker. Same. Hey, it's time. What are the rules?
Oh, what are the rules? What are the rules? Don't touch my fries or my garden tools. Oh, what are the rules? Yeah, I got my quirks. Follow them closely and I promise it works.
I've got a new rule for you, but it wasn't the rule I planned on talking to you about because the lovely Wendy, she said, go ahead and talk about that thing that happened last night for your new rule, because that is absolutely what you will be talking about in your next episode. Wendy, welcome. The lovely Wendy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been a while. Hi, everybody.
I've gotten multiple comments from people saying, I love it so much when the lovely Wendy is on. So congratulations,
nice.
Everybody.
Well, I don't like the circumstances that brought me back.
Not one bit.
Not one bit.
Do you want me to set up the situation and then you give the rule?
For sure.
Okay. As you know, dear listener, I love baseball. And the lovely Wendy, she loves me. So she's willing to go to some baseball games with me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we had seats in the lower level last night at a baseball game. And we were sitting back towards the foul pole, the left field foul pole for all you sports team fans. That'll mean something to you. And Wendy was...
It's a foreshadow of what's next, isn't it?
Wendy is closer to home plate than I am. And there's two people in between us. So we're not next to each other. A foul ball is hit straight towards us. I stand up. All the people around us stand up. I say, Wendy. Wendy puts her hands on her head and stays seated. And then what happens, Wendy?
So, kind of like when people who hate cats go over to a house with a cat and the cat inevitably goes up to that person, I'm the only person in this whole stadium who does not want that ball. And the ball comes and hits me squarely in the shoulder.
Right in the shoulder. So it's not like there's empty seats around us. There's a man sitting right next to Wendy.
He's standing.
He's watching the ball come
Maybe
in.
even filming the thing.
I'm seeing this ball come directly at us, and I'm trying to think, Wendy, you need to look up. You need to look up. But Wendy's got her hands on her head. She does not want to see it.
I didn't see the ball get hit, right? So I don't know if it is 3 seconds away or a millisecond away, right? So
Right.
if I look up, it might hit me in the face. That's all I know.
Right. Yep.
But the cheering and excitement from the people around me gets louder and louder and louder until all of a sudden, pow. But what is the rule here?
Well, first off, the man next door, he didn't even try to catch the ball. I thought about trying to catch the ball, but I would have fallen over you. I would have fallen on top of you if I would have tried to.
Yeah.
I would have tripped on the people in between us.
You would have fallen on top of 3 people.
Yeah.
And probably it still would have, you wouldn't have caught it from there. I mean, I don't mean to diminish
You would
your
have gotten.
capability.
You would have. Thank you. You would have gotten.
You probably would have caught it.
You would have gotten an elbow in your face rather than a foul ball in your shoulder.
And then I would have been mad at you, not the universe.
So this foul ball hits Wendy in the shoulder and then bounces off of her and right into the lap of the very giddy, excited 20-year-old girl behind her.
Are you saying that it hit my shoulder hard enough that it didn't just fall to the ground, but bounced onto the person behind me who's up higher than me?
Yes. Yeah. That's what happened.
Powerful ball.
So Wendy immediately tears up. She's in pain. But the young women behind us are ecstatic. They are so excited. So excited. They're laughing. They're getting they're giddy. They're taking selfies. The girl who has the ball, she's like, "Oh, I got to call my mom right away." The usher, he comes to check on the girls to make sure they're okay.
Did he?
Yes.
Goodness sake.
And then he notices that Wendy's crying and that we're all talking to Wendy.
And everybody was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And in that moment, you don't know if you're okay. Like the shock of it, you don't know if something's broken or what. I think you asked me first, and I was like, I don't know.
It was a little bit like you were embarrassed too. Like,
oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like the whole stadium feels like they're looking at you, and you don't know if you're on the screen or whatever. So it was all of that, and then just it was a lot.
So there's a word I learned in art classes in college, and that was juxtaposition. And let me tell you about the juxtaposition of Wendy crying and giddy 20-year-old girls behind her having a party because they've got the foul ball. That's it was quite the juxtaposition. So, Lovely Wendy, tell us, what is the rule?
The rule, guys, is you offer the ball to the person who got hit by it. At least you do that. At least you make that gesture.
Did they even say, "Are you okay"?
Not a word.
They didn't.
No, it was
they didn't care about
bizarre.
you at all.
Didn't they call their mom to tell her?
Yes, that's what I was just saying. She called her mom to let her know that she got a foul ball.
Wow.
Yeah, so not even a how are you doing?
No. Or just a little offer. Like you can even, okay, the rule, I'm okay with a little gesture where you don't even really mean it. Because probably like I was hurting enough that I didn't
did not want that ball.
I did not want that ball. I did not want the culprit. It's like that cat comes up to you and you're allergic to it. You don't want that cat. I don't want that ball. But make the gesture to offer the ball to the person who got hit by it. That's the rule.
That's the rule. There you go, everybody.
And I'm fine.
She's fine.
Thank you for asking.
There was a pink mark this morning
What?
on her shoulder.
It's for sure a bruise.
Let's look right now.
Have a look.
Yeah, it's getting a little purple. There's
But nothing got broken.
There's the rule.
Okay.
Remember, I want to know what's wrong with you.
What's wrong with you?
If you'd like to submit a question, topic, or tell me how I was wrong, you can email me at listen@therewrongpodcast.com. And that little thing about the book of Revelation, that should inspire some people. I'm guessing. I can explain it. Or submit a comment at my website, therewrongpodcast.com. And help me spread the wrong message. If you like what you hear, share it with your friends. Now it's time for my favorite part of the show. I was wrong.
I was wrong. Oh, I was wrong.
Listener Eric writes in and says, shout out to my man Tim, the Lovely Wendy, and the Wrong Podcast. You guys kept me entertained for over 4 hours on my flight home yesterday. Thank you. I asked Eric for a follow-up. What did he love in particular? And he said, I loved the 100th episode with the live audience. I loved Wendy's rule about bad grammar in worship songs. That was so funny. And your rule about not paying it forward in drive-through lines from the audio of Tim Robinson's I Think You Should Leave. So much good stuff. Great work. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate that. And I shudder. I shudder at the thought of listening to me for 4 straight hours. And the reason I shudder is because I live with my own voice, and that is not something I wish on anybody else. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm glad you were so entertained. Issue number 3. Certainty. There was major protests all across the United States. They were called the No Kings protest. And right now, I know you guys got a hot take about, hey, if we had a king, you wouldn't have been allowed to do that. Yeah, cool hot take. That's great. I think the point, I wasn't part of the protest. I didn't have anything to do with it. I don't care. Great, go out and do it. Hooray, no kings. I think that their point wasn't to say that Donald Trump is a king. I think they were saying we don't want him to become a king. The nation was founded on the idea that we shouldn't have authoritarian leaders. I think that's what they were saying. I don't think they were actually saying that Donald Trump is a king. So yeah, cool hot take. Something tragic happened at one of the events. And I need to explain this because it's going to go into everything else I'm going to talk about. But somebody, an innocent bystander was shot in Salt Lake City. And he was there peacefully walking, holding his No King sign. I don't know what he was doing. But there was an armed gunman who was running towards the crowd. He had some sort of rifle on him, and he was running towards the crowd. And some peacekeepers was the term that was used. They were people who were standing there watching to make sure everything was safe. They weren't the police. They were just civilian people who were carrying guns. I think they were carrying guns. They were concealed carry people. They were carrying guns. They pulled out their guns. They started shooting at the guy running with the rifle, and they accidentally hit this other man who died. And a friend of mine who lives in Salt Lake City, who was observing the video, other people had said this. He watched the video himself. He goes, I think this is basically right. This is not Tim. I don't have an opinion on this. I have not watched the video. I'm just reporting what somebody else reported. You can go watch the video for yourself. It's due a criminal investigation as far as I can tell. The armed gunman who was running towards the crowd with his rifle was not, according to the person who watched the video, was not running towards the video, or he was not running towards the crowd in order to hurt them. He was actually a protester himself. And he happened to be carrying a rifle in the protest. He was walking peacefully with everybody else. And the peacekeepers, quote unquote peacekeepers, saw him with his rifle and didn't recognize that Utah was an open carry state and that maybe somebody in these protests would be carrying a rifle himself. And they pulled out their guns and they started shooting at him. And then he started running away from them and holding, there's only so many ways to hold a rifle and run, but he was running away from them, and they struck this innocent bystander who was not there with any sort of weapon. And this is utterly tragic, just awful, just awful. A totally unintended death. Why are you bringing guns to a rally, a peaceful rally? Don't do that. Why are you open carrying a rifle? That I know you're allowed to do it. It's legal, but it doesn't seem wise by any means. If what this commentator was saying is true, that he was a peaceful person just walking. I don't know. Maybe he was dangerous and he was running towards the crowd. Who knows how many different angles you need to watch this by? Who knows how many interviews you need to do with everybody involved? I bring that up because I bring up that story because Israel has attacked Iran, and we learned a very, very important lesson during the George W. Bush administration, and that was make sure you've got the facts straight. Make sure you've got the facts straight. We went in with what we said was a preemptive strike because we said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and that they were gathering them and that they were making active plans to use them against the United States or the United States and its allies. And it turned out that Iraq did not have weapons of mass destruction. They made it look like they had weapons of mass destruction because they wanted to prevent Iran from attacking them. It was all a big bluff. And to save face, I don't know why Iraq didn't just allow people to go investigate, make sure that these things didn't exist. But Iraq didn't. They wanted to protect their own sovereignty. I don't know. I don't get it. But the United States went into a war with Iraq that we should not have gone into based on bad information and under the pretense of a preemptive strike. And generally, since that time, I've thought, okay, preemptive strikes are clearly not a good idea. You just need to get attacked. If you think you're going to get attacked, then get attacked, and then you can deal with it. And my thinking has matured a little bit since then, and I'm going to break it up into 3 categories for you. The first is a preemptive strike. The preemptive strike is somebody is going to attack you. So imagine you're standing with a bunch of people, and somebody says, I hate you, I'm going to punch you. And they raise their fist. They clench their fist, raise it. And you decide to kick them or hit them first, whatever you need to do to protect yourself. That's a preemptive strike. This person is obviously going to hit you. It's very clear. They've raised their fist. They've clenched their fist. They've told you they're going to hit you. You do something about it before they can hit you. That's a preemptive strike. Another term would be a preventive strike. And this would be what Japan did to the United States in World War II. We were not part of the war. We were officially neutral. Japan said, hey, someday the United States is going to attack us. Let's take them out of the war right now, right from the get-go. Let's bomb Pearl Harbor, and then we don't have to worry about the United States. They'll be so wounded that they can't do anything about this. And that did not work out well for Japan, and it turns out preventive strikes are immoral. You should not do this, ever. You should not do this. A preemptive strike is the wrong thing to do. It's a war crime. And then the third idea is a retaliation, and that is when somebody does attack you, and then you attack them in return. You said, hey, that's not okay. We are removing the threat to our lives based on what you've already done. And as far as I can tell, there's debates right now. Was Israel doing a preventive strike? Were they doing a preemptive strike? Or was this retaliation? And my first blush impression of Israel's attack on Iran was, oh, this was a preemptive strike. And that's not a great idea. And I've actually rethought that over the last week. And Israel was actually retaliating against Iran. The October 7th attacks from Hamas were fueled and funded by Iran against Israel. The Iranian regime is a theocratic nation. They hate Israel. They hate Jews. Theologically, they hate Jews. And they hate Israel. And they want to remove them. And they've been doing this kind of stuff for the last 46 years. They've also been attacking U.S. servicemen in Iraq, in Beirut, Lebanon. The Houthis who are attacking ships, they're being funded and fueled by Iran. And in Israel's war against Hamas, they assassinated one of the Hamas leaders in Iran. And immediately following that assassination, that was a specific death of one person or maybe his family or whoever's close to him. It was not an attack on the entire nation of Iran, but Iran retaliated against the entire nation of Israel and sent hundreds of missiles at Israel about a year ago. And Israel was able to knock all of them down, maybe 99% of them down. Iran has been actively seeking a nuclear weapon. It's clear that they would use it against Israel if given the chance. They theologically believe that what they should do is destroy Israel, provoke the apocalypse, and then after the apocalypse, a messianic leader will rise from the ashes of war. And that is their hope. That is their hope for the future of the world. And that is scary stuff. And if you are a Christian who believes that the nation of Israel and wars involving it can provoke the coming of Jesus, I want you to just hold those thoughts in comparison to what the Iranian Muslims believe. Don't have that kind of idea in your head that you can provoke this kind of thing. It's not Christian. It's not what the Bible says. It's not by any means who you think God should be, who God is, based on your reading of the Bible. Maybe that is the case in Islam. Maybe this is the correct, accurate reading of the Quran. It is not the accurate reading of the Bible by any means at all. And so Israel needs to take this threat seriously. Iran very clearly wants to destroy us. They've been trying to destroy us. They've been attacking us for 46 years, if not just over the last 2 years alone. The last 2 years alone would be justification enough. They're very close to having a working weapon. They felt they needed to act, so they did. And what's interesting about this attack is that all of the neighbors around Iran are kind of okay with it. Syria has given Israel permission to go ahead and fly right over Syria and attack Iran. If that's what you need to do, you've got our permission, no problem. Israel was going to do it anyways, with or without Syria's permission. Saudi Arabia is thrilled right now. They have also been in a proxy war with Iran. There's two main different types of Islam, Sunni and Shia, and Saudi Arabia and Iran represent those two different branches of Islam, and they are quite happy to see Iran being attacked by Israel. They're okay with it. They're good. They're offering some condemnations right now, but they're rather weak. And as soon as tensions die down, as soon as they can, you can expect Saudi Arabia to normalize relations with Israel. That's my belief. And because of all of that, I am okay with Israel attacking Iran's nuclear program. That makes sense to me. But there's this thing called just war theory, and it's this Christian idea of when you should go to war and when you should not. And part of just war theory says that you have to have a reasonable ability to complete your mission. You have to know what your mission is. It has to be justified for some reason, and you have to be able to accomplish it. And I don't know that Israel can actually accomplish this mission. And I should throw in, it's not just Israel anymore. The United States has decided to jump in. We sent B-2 bombers to attack the bunkers. We used bunker buster bombs. And it seemed right now Iran is retaliating in some ways. We don't know exactly how they'll retaliate totally. We don't know when they'll say this is done. A war is only done when your enemy says it's done. And what's the mission of this? Is it to remove the nuclear program? Is it a war on Iran's nuclear program? There's talk about regime change. Iran needs a new government. That's really the only thing that's going to change all of this. Okay, well, regime change is a massive, massive problem. How is that going to happen? Can you accomplish that through airstrikes alone? I heard an interview with someone in Iran who said, hey, there's a lot of people here who don't love the government, but the minute Israel starts attacking us, all of a sudden they're nationalists. They're pro-Iran more than they're pro-Israel. They're anti-Israel more than they'll ever be anti-Iranian government. And if you start regime change in Iran, whatever that might mean, who takes over and how do they take over? Is a civil war going to break out in Iran? And if it does, what kind of impact is that going to have on Iraq? Iran was very, very active in fighting the United States in Iraq. All kinds of attacks against U.S. service members who were serving in Iraq were coming from Iran. They were being funded and probably even carried out by Iranians in Iraq. Iraq is not exactly a totally stable nation yet. And when civil wars break out, they tend to splash over. Refugees end up in the neighboring countries. Refugees are very destabilizing. And let's not forget Pakistan is also a neighbor of Iran, and Pakistan has its own nuclear weapons program. And we just don't know if somebody more hardline is going to come to power at the end of it. We don't know what's going to happen if regime change is the goal. And this is the point where I think Tucker Carlson has a good point. How many people are in Iran is the start of a question over what are those people going to do if the government is toppled, and what kind of nation are they going to form? And I've got two interviews. I'll put them in the show notes. One is from The Remnant. It's one of my favorite podcasts by Jonah Goldberg. He brings in this intelligence expert. And both of these interviews, I need to just preface, these are not just knee-jerk anti-Trump people. They are not knee-jerk anti-Israel people. They're just people who've studied the situation and are talking about the complexity of the entire issue, not just the nuclear weapons program. One is from The Remnant. I'll put a link to that. And the other is from a podcast called Battle Lines. Battle Lines is a podcast produced by The Telegraph. It's a British newspaper. And I listened to another podcast they produce called Ukraine the Latest. And it's a great way to get an un-American media source of information about all of these things. And it's a really good, it seems to be a really good journalistic endeavor. I would highly recommend Ukraine the Latest. And this particular episode of Battle Lines that I'm going to post the link, please follow that. And most of all, just pray for peace. I truly do hope that Iran has been prevented from having a nuclear weapon. I think that's worth the risk. And I hope that peace comes quickly. But I could be wrong. If you think I am, let me know. Let me know why. I had fun and I hope you did too. Bye-bye.
It might be you. It's the wrong podcast.